Okay, it looks like we are back online. I had a little hitch here, but it looks like stream is still working, which is good. Alright, let's move on to our medieval peasant outfit. So one thing that I want to have here is a very defined edge where the shirt meets the sleeves meet the rest of the shirt. So I'm gonna enable polygroups. Let's split the shirt off the rest of the body. And let's use a slice to clearly define those loops. And you can say I accidentally did this, I don't want it. And we want something over here. I'm gonna mirror and weld to move to apply these polygroups to the other side, and now crease polygroups and polish by features. Instantly we are having a much more well-defined surface, which is great. Now what we can do is do a zero mesh to get a little bit better topology here. Okay, now let's do a zero measure. A little bit too dense, so disabling adaptive, setting the poly count to something fairly low, and let's see, freeze mesh border. Let's keep groups. Really nice flow. I can mirror and weld, but there's no need for that, it's fully symmetrical. Hey Ashfall. Yep, the stream is still on. So where's my design? So for anyone who just joined, earlier on we kind of refined the concept for the outfit of the guy, and now I'm using it as a reference to actually sculpt it. So here's what we have, and Yeah. So we need some kind of a cut here in the middle to because I have an open area here where you see shirt through the jacket. So let's do this. I'm gonna pick these two polygroups and using ZModeler and polygroup, we are going to basically make a cut, or make a selection that we're gonna extrude in. I'm gonna group these two guys. And let's see, with QMesh, actually, okay, so polygroup, and then I can, a little bit difficult to do, okay, so select this guy, merge them, and then QMesh polygroup. Polygroup island, sure. Not exactly what I want. Let's try extrude so it doesn't merge at the sides. Excellent. So you can see now we have two parts of the jacket that we can overlap. I'm calling it a jacket, but there's probably an actual name for it. Slightly smaller brush so I can control it easier. I can also use pinch. Crease polygroups and polish by features. I want a little bit of a seam here, so let's grab a ZModeler and with QMesh polyloop, I'm gonna extrude this guy here. And a lot of times QMesh will give you a slightly wonky result, so just switch to extrude. Same thing, just doesn't do the auto merging. Poly loop. There you go. Crease polygroups. Polish by features. And now with this, I'm gonna just go ahead and make it slightly less weird looking. Sculpt it closer to the body. And I don't like this hard edge here, so I'm just gonna grab Z modeler and uncrease this guy. Edge loop complete. So if I enable this now. So you still get a really nice hard surface edge, but it's less mechanical. Did you know you have a chat channel? Not sure what you mean. Game Art 101. Is it the channel feed beta? I'm fairly new to Twitch, so I don't really know a lot of the things that Twitch has. If there's something that you guys think I should enable or disable, please let me know. I'm still learning. And as you can see here, I'm not actually modeling the inner depth of the jacket. I'm just moving it to conform to the body closer, and that's about it. For now, I'm just keeping it symmetrical. Once I'm happy with the overall form and proportion, we're gonna create the overlap. I'm gonna use a very gentle smooth here. if I enable Accu Curve, which is already enabled, I can make more precise adjustments to the curve. With it off, I'm creating a more rounded fall-off. I'm not 100% buying the shape of this seam right now. So I'm just gonna smooth it out a lot and then add more to it later in a texturing process, most likely. Or sculpt on top once I subdivide the mesh. Okay. The belt should be fairly straightforward. Split hidden, same approach. We can just use clip brush to optimize it. Let's look, make sure we have only one polygroup. Clip, clip, crease polygroups. Oh. Crease polygroups, polish by features. Very similar approach. And the lower it is, the easier it's going to be to work with. So I'm gonna block out the rest of the belt and the lower part, and then we're gonna go back to maybe just a collar, and I'll go through the entire process of subdividing it and sculpting extra parts, because we have only 1 hour left, and I want to show you the entire process as opposed to me just you know, turning high poly blobs into low poly blobs. Polish by features helps a lot, especially with like stuff like belts. Makes them much more sharper. if you take a look, the regular polish turns it more into a blobby mess, but Polish by Features just does a really good job sharpening the corner or the creased edges. That's good. Let's insert a placeholder for the belt buckle. I'll just use a cylinder 3D. Actually, I'll use a sphere because it doesn't have a hole in the middle. Okay. Split hidden, and now just squeeze the sphere. And what we can do is just mask the center. Do some kind of design here. Okay, while I'm here, so let's split off the body. Look at my shoulders, they're amazing. I don't want to use this messy Dynameshed arms and hands. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna split off the arms, and I will insert the arms that come with ZBrush in a form of a brush. This way I'm not gonna have to deal with the cleanup. So select lasso, and we can just do this. Delete hidden, then redynamesh it. And disable dynamesh, and so insert body parts, this guy. If you press N on the keyboard, it will give you the selection of all the, actually M on the keyboard, it will give you the selection of all the brushes that are part of the this insert brush. All the meshes that are part of this insert brush. And then I'm gonna rotate it and get the arms in place. Give him baby arms. Whee! Ah, wrong pivot here. Whee! Okay. Scale it up. Move in place. I'm not gonna bother merging them together because it happens inside of our mesh, inside of our jacket. But I do need to align them so they are more or less placed right. So I like the upper arm is a little bit too muscular for my guy, so I'm just gonna probably use a smooth to smooth it out. Looks good. And I'm gonna split it off the rest of the body. And now if I enable dynamic, you can see we have a pretty nice and smooth arms. with a really clean topology so I can sculpt on top. I think we can elongate them ever so slightly since that's the art style we're going for. These shoulders are ridiculous, but that's what we want. So one change that I've done to the existing sculpt is that I modified the shape of the cap. Let's quickly address that. So you can see we have a highly subdivided mesh with a lot of details sculpted, but if I go to lower subdivision level, I'll be able to just quickly adjust it. Probably just a matter of doing this. And that's why I like to work in a low poly mode and then subdivide, so I can easily go back and modify design. Now if we go back to the higher version, you can see for the most part it's fine. We'll just need to add a little bit of details here, like this. Okay. So with our color, I'm going to disable dynamic subdivision and I'm going to start subdividing it for reals. Damp standard brush is great to define some sharp corners. We can also start smoothing stuff like this out. I'm gonna grab pinch brush and enable backface masking. This way if I'm pinching here, I'm not gonna affect the stuff that's underneath. And with pinch, I'm gonna just give it slightly sharper edge. And I can use polish by features to relax it a bit. Clay is great to add some additional noise. For now, I'm still in a symmetry mode, but I'm gonna get rid of symmetry fairly shortly. So with clay, I can just start doing things like this. Enable backface masking as well, and just kind of give it a more fabric-y feel, as opposed to very sharp hard surface model. lower intensity, the easier it is to build up noise like this. Any questions so far, guys? The chat got pretty quiet once Tom left. I'm not very good at talking and working at the same time. So I'm gonna kill the symmetry and grab clay buildup and just start working on the asymmetrical aspect of the shirt. So one thing that I can do, like I'm not a big fan of having all these gaps and weird geometry. What I can do is actually create kind of like a bust shape here and dynamesh it all together. This way I'm gonna have an easier time baking all this stuff and making sure there's no gaps between shirt and other pieces. So let's try that. I'll duplicate it just to have a backup. And I'm gonna delete lower. I'm gonna insert a sphere. I'll insert a sphere with symmetry. So basically this sphere will serve a role of a body. Can use a clip brush. Wrong way. So you can see we created this very basic guy. I want to make sure that it doesn't intersect with my color, because then I'll have dynamesh artifacts. So I can use clip curve to ensure that it's not happening. Looking good. Dynamesh. And you can see resolution is really low, so let's crank it up. Higher. And there we have it. And there's artifacts here, and that's precisely the reason I wanted to dynamesh it with the base, so we don't have these kind of thin weird areas that are going to be a pain in the ass when it comes to baking. So one way to fix this is that I can grab, I'm gonna mask by polygroups, just move the I'll just use move topological to move the shirt closer to the base closer to this guy. So there's no gaps between them. And now I think we can dynamesh. Excellent. This type of stuff can be smoothed out. Now though, you can see we have a little bit more area to work with. And because it's Dynamesh, they can sculpt whatever, really. With this neck area, we can push it in more. And you can see once I do a polish on a Dynamesh mesh, the borders of the shirt gets really nice and smooth. If you want them slightly sharper, you can restore the sharpness by running clay polish, and you can see they're becoming much thinner and sharper. But I also actually like the softness of this. It feels nice and organic. And now the shirt. I think the easier way is going to be to create a mask like this. And I can use a layer brush to build up a surface here. And for now I'm keeping it very smooth because we're creating a stylized character. I'm not going like too detailed with like buttons and all that stuff. Colors are really hard to sculpt, guys. Nima knows best. Let's see. It looks like it's working fine on my end. I don't know, maybe it's just a little internet hitch. Does anyone else have issues, guys? So I want to eliminate this little thing, but if you can see, if I'm doing trim dynamic, it pinches this entire surface. Back face masking, and issue solved. I think the most interesting part about this process is that I started with a high poly blob that got turned into a very structural low poly mesh, and then I went ahead and I completely destroyed it and turned it into a high poly version that has a very high fidelity, and it's fairly complex in terms of its structure. So there was a lot of back and forth. Symmetry on, modifying some minor things. So this is the basic workflow I'm gonna use for the rest of the outfit. Just kind of going ahead and refining one thing at a time. And in the end, we can add a little bit of wrinkles and buttons and all that secondary fluff. So let's see. We have about half an hour left. I'm gonna start working on the jacket itself. If you guys have any particular questions about ZBrush or certain workflows or GameDev the pipeline, our Patreon, feel free to ask them now before it's too late. Alright, so let's see how we're gonna approach this. I'm gonna use clay. Clay is the great organic brush. Really good for like wrinkles or fat or everything that's nice and round and soft. can smooth these creased edges out with just regular smooth. If any areas get a little bit blobby, use flatten brush to flatten them out. Getting a little bit tired of this matte cap. I've been looking at it all day. Let's try something else. Inflate to create a slightly more organic edge. So there's this the buckle part here that I can probably create as a separate subtool. Gonna be much easier to deal with. Going into lower subdivision level so I can adjust the proportions more without messing up the surface. Yeah, this is the form that I was trying to achieve. So yeah guys, a little bit of more self-promotion. I'm not very good at it. If you are learning ZBrush or any 3D applications or even just 2D art and you're looking for a place, affordable place where you can get some feedback, tips on art asset production, make sure to check out our Patreon. We just announced a major change yesterday. We're doing a feedback group and all the tutorials. You can get them for $1 a month, which is, if you can't find it anywhere cheaper, I'd be surprised. We have a Slack chat set up where you can go in and ask me questions in real time, and we already have a bunch of patrons that have signed in. And yeah, we can do art together and learn new things. The goal is that we eventually or not eventually, we're already doing this. We are going to be working on our own game projects, Bob and Tom and I, and all the all the tutorials that you're gonna see coming from GameDev the pipeline are gonna be on actual games that we are hoping to ship. So yeah, I think it's a really cool insight on how the games are actually made and how they're designed. And here's the link in the chat. So you can see I'm sculpting the shape to kind of follow more the human body, and it's turning into actual outfit as opposed to a blobby thing with giant shoulders, which I think is a good step, a good sign. Now with them standard, I can really go in and establish some creases, as well as here. So slowly but surely we are moving away from the blob and get in there. For now it's gonna be symmetrical, but in the end I'm gonna create the overlap and dynamesh it together. Man, every time I start my self-promotion talk, like 5 people leave immediately. Building up more folds with the clay, just kind of making it a little bit of a noisy, wavy surface as opposed to just very flat. It also helps to look at your sculpt in a shadeless mode, flat color. This way you can judge the silhouette. And just by looking at this, I can tell that the shoulders are a bit flat. I'm gonna smooth out some of the sharp edges for now. Not particularly liking the area of the crease, so. Yeah, and I mentioned before, but if you guys are working on something cool right now as we speak, and you would like some feedback, paste the link in the chat, and I can, do a paint over, or we can just give you a critique. That's what I'm here for. This is a very unforgiving matcap too. It makes you see all the surface irregularities, so I'm probably overthinking this. Okay, but I think for now this is a good base. I'm gonna see if I can push the armpits a little bit in more. Not a lot. I think thickness is what bugs me about this. A little bit too thick. Yeah, this is better. Okay, that's good. We have 20 more minutes left, so let's do the bottom, I guess, or should we do the top? Let's continue tweaking the top. I wanna see this part in place. So if you go back to the lowest subdivision level, actually I probably don't need to, I'm just going to use a layer brush. Oh, that's great. Well, looks like my ZBrush just, oh, no. I don't want this brush. Thank you. Okay. Quick save just in case something went wrong. So what I'm gonna do is using a mask, I'll mask this area out and make sure it's nice and clean. Okay, so with this, let's invert the mask and inflate it. We also need some additional seams here. I'm gonna use the lasso. Dan is finally back, but we're going to be done in 10 minutes or 20, no 10. Okay. So with this mask selected, let's make sure we don't have the other seam in it. And invert, inflate. can maybe mask this guy out. Masking is extremely handy when coming up with those more complicated shapes like this. Smoothing it out. And that's much better. I think my chest is a little bit too narrow compared to my initial sketch. So let's do that. And another thing that I've done is, in the concept, is that I narrowed down the head, which I can do in here as well. Bring back the strings. Using move, we're gonna get them aligned in place. Maybe instead of them being straight like this, we're gonna rotate them a bit, because that will make more sense logically. And for this part, we're gonna rotate it individually, like this. All right, so this is where we're gonna stop it for today. I might have time to work on this in a spare time now that I actually got to do more fun things. Where's my... I lost my window. There it is. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. We're gonna be doing a lot more of these, and the more we do them, the better we get. I'm learning a lot more new things about Twitch, and yeah, I hope you guys learned a thing or two. If I do have a chance to work on this in a spare time, I'm gonna post the time lapse on YouTube, so make sure to follow our YouTube channel. You'll find a lot of cool ZBrush stuff there, and 3D code and all of the stuff. And yeah, I'm gonna give you guys like another 10 minutes. So if you have any other questions, feel free to ask. I'm a little bit tired, so I'm just gonna sit here in silence. getting the head a little bit even more narrow to push that style we're trying to achieve. You can disable symmetry and start getting some of a more fine cloth details. Standard is a good brush for this, and damn standard. Adding those seams. A lot of the extra texturing feel is going to be done through texturing. Adding a cloth pattern with a little bit of a height variation really helps to sell the cloth. So I'm not too worried about, you know, detailing every single wrinkle in the sculpting stage, since I'm gonna be doing the texturing. I know what I'm gonna, what I'll do next. For this, the straps that I have running around the sleeves, we'll grab the Z modeler with Q-mesh. I'm gonna duplicate it and delete higher, and while dragging the Q-mesh, I'm pressing Control to extract this strap out. Hello, who's on the call?
Jeff.
Hey Jeff, how's it going?
Not too bad. Where's Thomas and Bob? They sign off?
Oh yeah, Tom has a birthday of a neighbor, and Bob, I'm not sure.
Oh, cool. I just figured I'd pop in and say how you doing, but you don't have your screen on here, so I'll go to Twitch.
Yeah. I'm actually pretty close to be done. Just adding some last tweaks. So I extruded this guy here, and now I'm just gonna delete the rest because I don't need the low resolution version. Actually, let's do auto groups. There we go. Delete hidden. And inflate, increase polygroups. Actually, I don't have polygroups, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna do groups by normal and then increase polygroups. And now we have nice edges. In order to fix this the width issue, what I'm gonna do is grab the move and stretch it like this. Right, so you want to stretch it more. And now with the clip curve, I'm just gonna clip it. No. So clip tends to mess things up if you have symmetry, so I'm just gonna disable symmetry. And kind of find a perfect angle for this. Pretty good. This is obviously not good, so let's just delete it. And now with the move brush, get this guy in place. Could inflate it. Well, personally I don't like to do straps like this, because then you have to worry about two parts of the surface. So what I'm gonna do is I'll delete the inner part, and now if I close the holes, it should cap them nicely. There we go. A lot easier to manage for stuff like straps. Alright. Well, it's 4 p.m. here, guys. I need some rest, and you're pretty quiet today. Just gonna do some last weeks. Divide a couple times, uncrease. And then we have a much smoother version. Anyway, okay, I'm gonna call it a day. Thanks a lot for watching, and stay tuned for future streams. We're gonna do much more. Today was kind of a weird day. When Diana, our painter, she didn't make it, but in future we're planning to have multiple people sharing their screens, so it's not just me talking for 5 hours, but or doing things for 5 hours, so we can, you know, switch between screens and have some cool interaction. Thank you for popping by, and yeah, cheers guys.